There's where a lot of religious moments on your planet tend to lead one astray, or instill the fear of, once you leave this form, your energy will become homogenized in a grand thing and you won't remember who you are. And we say you do. We remember all of ours.
Do you remember past life experiences?
Absolutely. We can draw upon the experience. We can apply it to individuals that we speak to. If we decided to incarnate again, we would, at this stage, remember all of the lives and remember the mistakes, remember the progress, remember the triumphs, and apply it to the life that we would live if we chose to incarnate again. That is the level we are at this time. Many, like yourself, maybe not remember everything, but we think some of you have hints of remembering things.
Would it help us if we did remember?
We think so.
Then why do we not?
Many become very distracted, or have belief systems instilled at them at a very young age that that is not an opportunity.
Okay.
And younger souls tend not to remember as well as older souls.
Is there something we can do to remember?
Yes, there is. Oh, now you're going to ask. But it's very individualistic, my dear. It's very individualistic. We can't give you across-the-board generalization on that. But just the idea that reincarnation exists, that perhaps you've been here a couple of times, and perhaps maybe you had a life or two that wasn't so great, or you maybe had a really great one. And to apply those experiences to your moment now, we think is incredibly important. You have a lot of religious moments that don't allow for that. That say you must behave, and you only have one opportunity, and if you don't behave, it's either below or up. And if you behave, you'll go up. If you don't behave, you'll go down. But that was instilled in a very primitive culture on your planet, where there were many young souls at the time, and those that were more intellectual had to control them in some way. And the demonstration of burning for those who did not behave was a very vivid opportunity for them to say, forever they will do that in hell. And it wasn't a grand display, and people brought their children to make them behave, to watch people be burned to death. It was choreographed.
So all of these prophets that have come before to share information, do they come much like you are here?
Yes.
And
Each experience can be a little bit different. Nostradamus was a little bit more conscious, and the connection was not quite so clear as this one. But Nostradamus was lucid enough to write it all down, but in code so it would not be put back on him and his family, mostly his family, people he cared about. He didn't really care about himself. But in that particular life, he cared very deeply about certain members of his family, so he made it so that they could not come back on them.
so, fortunately, some of us have listened to some of these prophets, and now we're listening to you. And you are sharing with us that there is time to rectify some of the damage that's already been done.
Yes.
And we have shaken the carpet, the rug, and the dust is in the air, but it's going to be settling. Within this time that we speak of, is this the time that people are putting a date on being 2012?
Well, you must remember that outside of this environment, there is no time. That in the linear, it is almost an obsession to mark time, to measure it, to mark it, and there really isn't any marking, really. This is all an illusion that you've put together to keep track of your days. 2012 is an indicator that there will be some changes, that there's going to be a shift, not necessarily a negative one. And yes, there will be an end to a lot of negativity, But we will also say that it's the beginning of a golden age where things are going to be much better. So if you're participating in negativity, yes, you should be a little scared. But if you're participating in positiveness, expansiveness, connecting to your soul, living in a kind way towards others, there's nothing to worry about. It is only the naysayers and the evildoers that should be alarmed at this time. And it's not necessarily 2012, it's already started there. And it's already evident in your culture, the evildoers coming to the surface and being called upon their activities and punished and eliminated.
In that perspective, one would say that there is still a lot of evil.
We won't say evil, we'll just say those who make inappropriate choices that are negative. No one is evil. We say that we call them evildoers because they participate in negative actions towards others, towards the planet, towards existence itself.
And there's a lot of that.
Yes, there has been.
And
a lot of it has risen to the surface, which is why you see it so much. It's just coming up and coming up and coming up and coming up because the rug has been shaken and this is all coming up.
So those of us who feel that this period is going to end up positive,
Yes.
are trying to focus on connecting with our soul, as you say, and stay positive.
Yes.
And yet we see a quickening of some of these more negative aspects.
Yes.
And
they're quickening because they know their time is coming.
mm-hmm.
In an unconscious way, they know.
So we should not fear?
No.
For most people, that's hard.
Very difficult, yes, we understand that.
Watching television, listening to the radio, reading the newspaper.
And that is
magazines.
all the negativity rising to the surface. So it feels like it's accelerating. It looks like it's accelerating. So we would caution to hold back from participating, allow it to rise up and dissipate. And it will.
So for example, certain laws are being passed that look like they're going to be taking more rights away from us, or certain things are being asked, or certain things are being built that look like they can be used against citizens, if you know what I mean.
Yes, we understand completely.
So it would seem that there was a time, maybe the 60s in our evolution, that people just sat around and said, oh, everything is going to be okay, and then it wasn't. And if we just sit around and say everything is going to be okay...
But you have to live and participate energetically so that it is okay. You all have to take responsibility to project the positiveness into the environment and not become fearful and not back up. Do you understand, dear? We think we have lost you somewhere along the way here.